Okay, great. I will share a screen and we will begin to go over. We have a lot of information, so I will try to go through it as quick as possible, and we will leave some time at the end to have questions and to wrap it all together. There is a society called the Dragon Gate Society, and I will explain who they are and everything. But the name of their school intrigued me when I first came across them. It's called the Complete Reality School. So it means that there are situations in life, there are schools or philosophies in life that are not really the complete reality. And this school kind of maintained what the real reality is. And I think this is something that we're starting to realize now. The situation with reality, really, with the media, how situations, we would see them in one way, but then we find that it's being presented in a completely different way, whether it's the last few years of health issues that we faced, whether it's wars, whatever the situations are. It's kind of, there's many conflicting ways or contradictory ways that the world seems to be presenting itself. So what is the reality? And that applies to many things in our lives. So that concept is important, I think. If we're not living in the true reality, then where are we? A simulation, a matrix, some imposed fantasy of some sort. So that's basically what the issue is about. So we'll move from that and let's start to go through the introduction. So this group, this Complete Reality School of the Tao, it's a tradition that started in the 13th century. It happened at a time when it's part of the Northern School of Complete Reality, which is it's a school in the Taoism that started at the time of the Mongol intervention in China, and by a master. His name is Eternal Spring. Let's use that name. And he was kind of advisor to Genghis Khan at the time. He advised him to preserve the culture and the heritage and the tradition and to maintain it during this period of uncertainty and changes that are happening. So he allowed him to do that. He was offering him counsel about this, and he was appointed as a minister of maintaining basically the preservation of the culture and the heritage and the tradition and religion and so on. And since that time, this group has been active, active in the sense of maintaining what the real timeline is, what the real reality is. And whenever events happened in history that are turning things upside down, they were kind of taking knowledge, bringing it underground, and when it's safe to do so, they would bring it back again. And that carried on for many years. I met with Master Li Heishun. He's the lineage holder of the Dragon Gate. And we met each other in 2006, 2007. We started to travel together. And as a result of that, I got introduced to this society and their activity and so on. So just a brief history about that. Of course, Grandmaster Mantak Chia, if some of you may be familiar with him, with the Universal Healing Tao. Grandmaster Mantak Chia, who is the founder of the Universal Healing Tao, has been my teacher for many years as well. And that's how we got introduced through this connection. We've had many explorations, many travels, and one of the areas of the Dragon Gate concern is the sort of areas in historic areas that got hidden, or they got sort of covered underground. And we will talk about this underground situation in a while. Basically, this is, for instance, in the pyramids of Xi'an in China. And you can see that it looks here like a hill, like a mountain, like a little hill. But in reality, it is an actual pyramid. And they got planted over to camouflage them so that they don't get noticed and people don't ask questions, and then it just hides from sight. So these are the locations that the Dragon Gate kept the track of so that it doesn't get lost through generations. I mean, if you imagine if this in the villages actually where these pyramids are, the locals don't know that it's a pyramid. They just think it's a hill or a mountain, that's it. So a couple of generations and nobody will remember that there used to be something there. So there is a reality shift that's happening here. So this is a very important point. The same with this. This is another location. This is how originally it looks like. And these old pictures are from the times of around the Second World War. They were taken by airplanes. And today they just look like little hills. Let's go through this quickly. We found that there was a lot of connections between the ancient Egyptian culture, as an example, and the Chinese culture. And many references to a lot of Egyptian-related mythologies or histories, really. And it has parallels and equivalencies in the Chinese culture. And we can explore that at times in the future for those who are interested. This is just a brief. Locations like the Gobi Desert and the importance of it. First of all, it looks like there has been, where these hills are or where this mud mountains are, used to be a thriving part of the civilization. In fact, this used to be a part of the old Silk Road that we hear about in the old historic times, that was moving a trade between the Far East and Europe and Middle East and Africa and everywhere. It's connecting the trade in the world. And now suddenly it's just a heap of mud, it looks like. Anyways, they preserved places like this. So you can see here a very basic, modest temple. However, the important part is this room on the top and whatever is underneath, whatever it's leading to within this muddied area. Very unique place, and you can see the flooring of it is from a period that is kind of old. It's not a modern area. You can go to areas and you would see that just nothing but sand in the desert and then a small door, and you would enter into tunnels and areas taking you into foyers and into practically cities underground. And you're familiar with some of the mythology or the terminologies like Agartha and Hyperborea and things like that. The drawings here were just mind-blowing. They're talking about after the floods and the return of humanity again, and the founders of this humanity based on the Chinese tradition, which is Fuqi and Nuwa, and their beings with snake-like figures. And that being in the middle here, he has some sort of an umbrella, kind of UFO-looking thing with a couple of angels actually next to him, and they all have wings with kind of a map of this wormholes or black holes or something. So, and this is actually was hidden. It was not publicized at all. It's not on the tourist maps, and it was kind of great to have the opportunity to explore that. The maintenance of these hidden treasures, really cultural treasures, is something that the Dragon Gate preserves. So I'll just go quickly through it. Basically, some of the destinations, they're sacred mountains, immortality formulas, ascension formulas, which are things that are very pertinent now at this time. So my background, Sufi masters, and also from Caucasus Mamluks, warriors that came to Egypt at the time when there was kind of cultural wars going on in the world, and that's kind of how our ancestors, our family, came to this part of the world. So I was born in Egypt. I studied martial arts, developing technology, research and development, technological work. In 2000, became a teacher and set up the Universal Healing Tao Center of Toronto. Was invited by Grandmaster Mantak Chia to move to Tao Garden in Chiang Mai, Thailand, to establish the bioenergetics and clinic there. So I moved there in 2000, and I've lived there until 2007. studied, taught, and practiced, and set up the Universal Healing Tao Center of Egypt. We started then having meditations and activations and things like that. Thailand, Peru, and Tibet, China. I lived in China 5 years. We started the company Light Mandalas with holistic technologies to help us energetically, etherically, with our health, whether it's psycho-emotional, and so on. Conferences in Japan related to that. So that's kind of a brief of my background, personal background. The first time the Dragon Gates then become recognized officially in China and emerge from the underground was in 11/11, 2009. And sponsored by the government of China, they actually held the first international summit of Lao Tzu and Taoist culture. So I was representing the Universal Healing Tao of Egypt there, and I went on behalf of Master Li, since he was unable to attend. And it was 600 professional scholars, Taoist teachers from all over the world. It was 2 days, and it was basically introducing the Tao as a potential, as a possible solution to the problems that the world faces today. And they were inviting the world to examine some of these concepts and ideas to see how it can actually provide solutions to the current problems we're facing. It was a major event, and the Dragon Gate now were at the forefront of bringing back again the old culture that has been hidden since the Cultural Revolution in China, and making that available again and presenting it to the world as a viable solution and so on. During that time, there's a committee that was formed, group of scientists, professors, engineers, doctors, to bring about some of the technologies that have been kind of kept in the drawers in industry, and they haven't been commercialized. But of course, they offer quite a bit of opportunities with these technologies that have been proven scientifically to have an effect and influence on us, on our physiology, on our mental, emotional, psycho-spiritual areas. We established Light Mandalas, our company that is in northern Thailand, to manufacture, research and develop and manufacture these technologies. But that's another whole story. So after this event, basically we started to have these interactions to bring about the complementary medicine and the holistic medicine into China, actually, in many of their projects and so on. So that's just a quick summary of how now the Dragon Gate was introduced